Bubbles. Dark basement. Scuttles. Fingernails.
Hi witches, it's Rose. Welcome to Witch Way. It's our January episode and we take time to answer questions from listeners. Everyone in the group gives their own perspective and we get a little insight into everyone's practice. Before we get into it, don't forget to follow, like, and subscribe to us, either on whatever app you're listening to us on or on our website, greatnorthwitches.com. Here we go. The question is, I suffer from seasonal affective disorder and I find it difficult to find the motivation to maintain a regular practice during the winter months. What are some low spoon witchy things I can do over the winter to keep my practice? And just to review before we get into it, what low spoon means. So spoon theory is a theory that every person has a certain number of spoons that they have access to in order to do things every day. And people with chronic illnesses have less spoons, so they have to decide how many activities or things or efforts they're putting into the day based on how many spoons they have. So when the person's saying low spoons, they're referring to not having enough available energy to do things that they need to get done.
I find one of the things that can really help is aromatherapy. Either light some incense, wear a little bit of essential oils, actually just have something in the house that smells nice, something that really relaxes you, and it'll really help your atmosphere and helps you kind of feel a bit better in that downtime. And it's a nice way to kind of still do a little bit of witchy things and putting out that nice vibes without a lot of effort.
Citrusy scents are really good mood boosters.
For me, it helps going with the seasons, maybe focusing more on medicines. And when I say medicines, I don't mean like pharmaceuticals, practices that have to do with what the land has to offer at that time of year. Just like today, I wanted to make myself a medicine to help with this thing I've been fighting for a month, and I remembered I had cedar. And cedar is often so easy to preserve and dried, and a lot of indigenous people will make cedar tea. And it's a really, really, really strong medicine. So I like working with elements that are in that season. But also we were mentioning like citrusy scents, and like there's a reason why spices are so popular at this time of year, because it's that fieriness, it's that warmthness, so that can help as well too, I find. And I even put cinnamon sticks too in my cedar tea. So
Does it taste good?
I made it taste good.
No.
Yes.
So now we have something to smell, something to taste.
Oh god, well I guess you guys gotta come up with another.
We're hitting those senses.
Ooh.
Something for a touch is, don't forget to
Pleasure yourself.
Pleasure yourself. Do something good for yourself.
Friggin' sex.
But listen, actually though, scientifically speaking, orgasms raise your endorphins, which will make you feel better mentally and physically. Like it's not an off suggestion. It does actually.
I think it's a great suggestion. I think it's for our male witches. There is a certain element though where it is draining, because they've actually they talk about in yoga how for women masturbating actually builds your energy, but for men it's often depleting. So something to consider. I'm not judging what anyone does.
And theirs only lasts like 3 seconds.
I know. Yeah, I mean, there's so just consider that for the male witches that are listening. That masturbation's great for some people. But that's just a little medical background that masturbation isn't great. But okay, kinesthetic for everyone that's not masturbating.
A massage.
Okay, but how do you make that massage witchy?
Use witchy oils.
Through the winter months for witchiness, I actually take myself to the spa. Like the outdoor spa. I do a lot of meditation. You can get a massage. You can you get the hot, you get the cold, you get the rest, you get to sleep. You just get the sound of the water. You get the sun coming down on you. You can snuggle yourself into one of those heated hammocks.
I feel like you're doing a sale for
stone
Lenore
bed.
Deep right
I'm
now.
not naming anything. The stone beds, they're actually made of stone and they're heated. And it's such a nice, relaxing way to recharge the energy. And it's nice because you're surrounded by so much nature and you're just able to suck it all in. That's what I do to recharge my battery in the winter.
I think that's a really cool idea because I struggle with seasonal affective disorder, and I find a big part of it is that I hate being outside in the I don't enjoy winter. I don't enjoy winter sports.
Nope.
And you do the hibernation thing, but then I start getting cabin fever and I hate my life. life because I'm so sick of my house and I just want to get out of it.
And you need to do something for you.
Yeah,
once a month.
And go out and connect to nature, right? I mean, like being on any kind of witchy path, you tend to have that connection to nature, and I think that's a big part of what people miss.
Yeah, because in the winter it's a
Over the
lot
winter.
harder to connect to nature when everything is covered in snow and ice.
And frozen and cold and
I know that we also want to discuss little witch things you do when your energy's low to still be witchy.
Having a cup of tea.
You do tea. Is that your? That's
A warm
your.
bath.
that's my
Yeah.
big thing, tea or baths. Yeah, and
Tea or bath.
it particularly in the wintertime, my baths are always witchy. Like I make my own oils and salts and whatever, but I mean like I will go overboard with my baths in the wintertime just because it doesn't take a whole lot because it's like, okay, so I'm gonna add some oil and I'm gonna add some salts and I'm gonna throw a bath tea in there and just
some milk and
just sit in my soup.
I was gonna say, are you a
Basically.
swamp witch at that point? If you're sitting in,
I'm just making stew in the
Yeah.
bathtub, basically.
tastes delicious.
It's all good for your skin in one way or another, right?
Your drains hate you, but everyone else
Oh,
likes
yeah.
you.
That's why I put the bath tea in one of the little,
You're
I put
so
it in a
good.
bag.
Every time I see a picture where they have their whole bathtub full of all those
No,
floating
no, no, no,
vegetation,
no.
I'm
Right?
like,
No.
I'm like, how do you get the water?
you get a
out?
big colander and you just
You
kind of
put it
scoop
over
it.
Anything plant-based, I've got like rather large
Oh, cool.
muslin bags and I just stuff them full of the plants and I hang it over the faucet while the water's running
that's
into the
brilliant.
tub.
But you can't
And
put that
then
on
I-
Instagram. That's
and
not.
Yeah.
Exactly. I'm not really worried about putting my bathtub on Instagram.
90% of witchcraft is Instagram. You didn't know that?
Not mine. I can't even imagine, like, particularly dealing with seasonal affective disorder, like having to maintain that over the winter when
That'd be
you're
so
having like a
exhausting.
really low shitty
Didn't you just
feeling.
tell me you want to do Instagram?
I told you I've thought about it and there's reasons why I don't do it.
But you said it at the
and
beginning of November. Now we're
n-
now we're at
and
the
now
point.
it's December and I'm just like, fuck that.
Yeah,
No.
okay. Just want to make sure. I'm glad we
No,
waited.
it's one of the reasons I don't do it is the only way to be effective on Instagram is to be constant. And I mean, and it's one thing if you're sharing it with a group of people, but when that's all on you, having to post that frequently and make sure that your posts are relevant and have all the right hashtags and feed the algorithm like it's
Yeah.
a spirit of some sort. Like, no thanks.
A lot of people too, like I hear that question a lot, like, oh, what can I do during the winter? Well, for me, the winter is also a time of introspection and reflection. So your witchcraft doesn't have to always be full on like action. It can be things more like journaling. It can be things even just catching up on your rest, listening to your body. It's funny because at this time of year, I've been getting more bear symbology, and that's actually my totem. And the bear goes into hibernation, and the bear, part of its medicine is to teach you self-reflection, going into the dark, a lot of shadow work, and resting, rejuvenating, and so much more. And so I find a lot of people beat themselves up at this time of year because they feel like they're not doing enough. But a lot of times doing the more restful practice, like let's say journaling, maybe reading up more on a
Your
specific
50 million witch books that you've collected over the summer.
And the ones
Yeah.
you got for Christmas.
just doing that self-reflection work doesn't always have to be spells and rituals and all these big actions or going out foraging, because I mean you can't really go foraging when it's like February. It's okay to have a phase during the year that spells might not be a big part of your practice, but that in general is part of your practice, is that cycle. Right, you take that time to rejuvenate, and then your spells come back really stronger. Yeah,
And that's a big part of it for me is to be really gentle with myself and to be very loving and accepting and being and listening, like you said, listening to your body and listening to your mind and being like, okay, you know what? Like today I wanted to do these things, but I've only got the energy to do this. I can get out of bed today. And that's all you're getting out of me. And that's okay. It's okay to say this is all I have the energy for today, and it's okay to tell other people that too, right?
You are only human. You can't be 110% all the time.
Right.
Well, and part of honoring witchcraft is honoring the cyclical nature of things. So if you're fighting against that, are you even honoring your practice? If you're like, no, I have to do it the way the TV says or the the Instagram says or whatever.
I think that's a super dangerous part of like social media and everything that's out there. It's social media is always on. Social media is always perfect, and it's not even just in witchcraft, right? A lot of people deal with this in like their regular mundane lives. Is a lot of people, the only things they post up on Facebook are those picture perfect vacations, and there's nothing in those pictures or that little blurb that they put on there about their 5-year-old's temper tantrum in the middle of a restaurant that got them kicked out, or the argument that they had with their husband in the car when they were lost because he wouldn't listen to the damn directions, right? Like, it's just the perfect pictures, so you think it was a perfect trip.
I like the idea of us following the flow and letting it go. And that's our January Which Way Witches. Sure to like, follow, and subscribe. Check out our Facebook group, Great North Witches Collective, and check out our website, greatnorthwitches.com, where you can subscribe to our monthly newsletter. Take care.
Bubbles, dark basement, scuttles, fingernails.